Welcome to Tuesday Night Lights here on Titan Upload Network. So glad you could be here. A lot of crazy stuff going on in the NFL. We're going to break it all down. I'm bringing in my buddy from Fan to Fan Network, Derek. He runs the Colts. He's part of the Colts Bring the Juice podcast, the Colts Podcast. So I'm pretty excited to be able to bring him here in a minute. But he's got some breaking news for you guys if you haven't been catching up with stuff lately. We're going to go over all the different opt-outs that happened today. We'll talk a little bit about Clowney, just a little bit. But we'll also talk what's going on with Beasley, what's going on with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yes, we'll get into a little preview of them and the New York Jets. So with everything going on, we are not going to talk about the Raiders. So unfortunately, if you're joining us to talk Raiders, we'll do that next week. And then, when we're talking Jaguars, it's probably very important to bring in someone who knows the Jaguars obviously better than me. I think Derek does an awesome job over there, Derek and Cody. And I think they really know the division. So I want to get their take not only on the Jaguars, but we could also ask them about the Titans and just bring up the Colts in general and see where they're going as a team. So yes, we will talk about the Jets, the big trade, Jamal Adams, since we are talking Jets. We'll talk about some Minshew for a little bit as well. But like I said, we really want to talk about the opt-outs. We want to talk about the Miami Marlins. Is that going to have any impact on the NFL at some degree? Maybe it's having an impact already on the players. Who knows? And then what is the latest on Jadeveon Clowney? Is he coming here? Is he not coming here? Is he going to the Jets? Has he a player reached out to him and said that the Jets wanted him, or he wanted something about like show him the money, bring him in, whatever, bring Clowney in. I'm not buying it, but maybe Derek is, so we can get into him. So without further ado, Cody's in the house. So what's up, Cody? Good to see you, man. Let's bring in Derek. So Derek from Bring the Juice podcast. So glad he's here with us. What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, man. Thanks so much for having me on here. It's great to be a part of Tennessee Titans territory. I'm entering territory that I went in earlier this offseason with Tennessee Titans Weekly Upload. But yeah, man, it's great to be on here. Great to be doing this and doing some collabs with my other Fan to Fan Network guys. Yeah, and you mentioned some breaking news that was going on in the NFL right now. Something that happened literally 5 minutes before we started the stream. The Chargers and defensive end Joey Bosa agreed to a 5-year extension worth $135 million, with a $102 million of that fully guaranteed. So this therefore makes Joey Bosa the highest paid defensive player in the NFL right now. We saw Myles Garrett got that deal of $125 million last week. Well, now it seems the Chargers have fully locked Joey Bosa for the next few years. So very exciting news coming out late on this Tuesday evening.
Yeah, I mean, wow. 135 million, 102 guaranteed. I mean, I was getting set up. I didn't even know Derek comes on already bringing the news, man. So bring the juice. I think it's with the territory. So we're going to start off just by going over some of the latest news in the NFL. We'll get Derek's take on it. First, we'll start with the Miami Marlins. So the Miami Marlins, I guess living under a rock lately, and it's okay because I'm not. My White Sox are awful. They lost today 4-3 again. I have no idea what they're doing, but I would say the Miami Marlins, 8 players came down with it. We can't say it on here, Derek, so we just say sickness. Otherwise, YouTube will do some silly stuff. So we'll avoid saying the C word in here. Okay. But anyways, so we got 8 players, 2 coaches from the Marlins. Washington came out today and says they're not going. They're not traveling there. So we'll see. A couple games already got canceled. The rumor is now the Marlins won't play until after Sunday. To you, Derek, do you think this is going to have any impact on the NFL? What's the big point from all of this? Are you confident that baseball is going to be able to get it right, and is it going to have an impact on the NFL?
Well, I would definitely say you'd be an idiot to think that this doesn't have any kind of moral impact on the NFL at all. I mean, we saw what's been going on. I mean, the resurgence of this and everything that's been going on. People are petrified for some good reason, for some are not. But yeah, it definitely is an interesting topic. But again, MLB has taken good strides to figuring out what to do here. The great news is that due to the fact that it's only been one team, nobody else has tested positive. Everything is under control. They're just going to say for the next week, the Marlins are just not allowed to play baseball until they get proven that, nobody on that team is left to be infected. It's kind of crazy to think that half the baseball team ended up getting it. But either way, yeah, this definitely does seem like something that will impact the NFL in some ways. The NFL actually did say that they were going to take another look into updating some of their procedures to try to make sure that doesn't happen in the NFL. I mean, I think a lot of people were saying, why did you not make those updates at the very beginning? But that's neither here nor there. But again, I am confident what is going to happen for the NFL to battle this. And I think that the number of players that have actually gone, who have been infected, have actually gone down as of recently. So that's a good sign. I do think that the NFLPA is going to figure this out. And I do think that, if something like that were to happen with the team, then, I think that there's some policies that could move things around and make it easier for teams. So I have confidence.
Yeah, it's just scary, man. It just can blow up at any minute. Like baseball, just the first weekend, we already have a team with 8 and 2 coaches come down with it. And when you're talking the NFL, I mean, you're talking more than a 25-team roster. I mean, we're talking, we're going to be at 80 guys. I think each team predominantly had to be at 80 guys today. And I mean, I know each team's doing their thing. I mean, the Titans, I don't know about the Colts, but I don't think the Titans are actually starting practice for until at least Monday. So they're going to go through, they're going to get tested a couple days here. They're going to make sure that's all good before they even step on the field. But it's insane. Any update on the Colts? Anything that anybody come down with it lately? We had our first round pick, Isaiah Wilson, come down with it apparently. So he's on the sickness protocol. Anybody in the Colts? How's the health there?
Fortunately for us, there's not been any issues with the Indianapolis Colts so far. The rookies, a bunch of the rookies got some light workouts in today. And obviously the veterans were coming in yesterday and today, pending physicals and stuff like that. But yeah, for right now, no issues in Colts Nation right now, which is great. I know that there's a lot of optimism in that locker room right now. And I'm hoping it stays that way, because I would certainly not enjoy it if a guy like Darius Leonard or Quentin Nelson came down with it, because even though I have full confidence that a guy like Quentin Nelson or Darius Leonard could beat this, I know that that's just not what the NFL wants. So,
yeah, I mean, 3 weeks, it's a long time. And we're I mean, for us, like, you have a backup quarterback that I would trust. I mean, maybe Logan Woodside eventually can be that guy, but to throw him out, a guy with a 47 Madden rating as your backup for 3 weeks to go into Indy and win a big game, it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. Yeah. So we'll see what J-Rob's going to do for the Titans. So let's go ahead and throw this on there. These are the players, supposedly, there are a few. I mean, there's more than just this list, but these are the bigger names. I didn't even know Devin Funchess was even on here until I was actually looking at it. But you got Funchess, Hightower, Pierce, the big prize free agent for the Vikings to lead that defensive front against the run. Patrick Chung, Goldman from the Bears, he's been a stud, and Goodwin. So a lot of times it's kid related, that these guys just had kids, or maybe they're prone, they have an illness situation that they cannot take any chances. But Derek, in your estimation, is this, I think they have till Monday, if I'm not mistaken, to get this all out of the way. And if they want to opt out, they got till Monday. Do you see this list growing? I mean, what's your gut feeling telling you on these opt-outs? Is it going to have any impact on the season?
Yeah, I do believe that this list will continue to grow drastically. I don't believe so. I would imagine a list of anywhere from 50 to 70 players. Now I understand that's a lot. That's like basically one full team's roster being gone, but let's just hope let's hope it's not New England's players that keep opting out, because they keep opting out players at the rate they're at right now. They're going to get Trevor Lawrence in the draft next year, and I'm not enjoying the talks about it. But no, the one player on this list that I know so far that I sympathize with completely on him wanting to opt out is Marquise Goodwin. A lot of people don't realize this, but Marquise Goodwin has lost 3 children. Ooh. with his wife, and they lost a premature child that was like 19 days or something after he was born, and lost twins before, and they now have a 5-month-old child. And I mean, Marquise, obviously does not want to take any risk at all. So I completely understand that. I think actually Michael Pierce actually said that he's had some asthma issues in the past, and he actually was diagnosed with pneumonia at one point a few years back. So he is in a situation where he's a lot more accessible to contracting that, and if he does, it could be a lot worse for him necessarily. So I understand that. It stinks that this list is going to grow, because we don't want these players to feel like they have to, but it's the nature of, they get to choose whether or not they want to play. That's their decision. That's fine. Next guy steps up and does what they need to do. And, it really does stink. But at the end of the day, health does come first, especially if you are worried about your family, who knows what they're going to be bringing home to their families. So, again, stinks that this list will continue to grow probably. But I'm just hoping that, for your sake and my sake, for both of our teams, that we don't have too many other guys decide to opt out.
Yeah. Do you guys even have anybody? We had one, I think, today, an undrafted free agent, Anthony McKinney, that did it. But how about you guys? I don't think I saw Cole.
No, we have not had any person decide that yet. I think the great thing about what the Colts situation has right now is the fact that the majority of this team is a very young team. So a lot of these guys are playing under rookie contracts still, playing under first-year extensions. So a lot of these guys are not in great money situations, first off. And second off, they're not in great namesake situations where they're still trying to make names for themselves. So they really don't have necessarily the freedom, if you want to say that, to feel like they have the opportunity to just opt out. But, at the end of the day, I don't want any of these players to opt out. If some of them do, I understand, but I certainly hope if it's somebody, I really hope it's not Darius Leonard, Phillip Rivers, or Quentin Nelson. That would be the end of me. I would not know how I would be able to handle that if they were to do that.
Yeah, and I sympathize for you guys, because if I had Andrew Luck, I hope I'm okay to say that, but Andrew Luck, how that all went down. 11-0 versus the Titans, so much promise. He was the real deal. I know he was hurt here or there, and just nope, I'm done. Man, life can change in a hurry, man. It really can.
Yep. Yeah, it is. Pat McAfee reminded you guys very much last draft about how you guys probably had no idea who he was because we didn't punt very much against you guys. But we actually had an interview with Colts wide receiver Zach Pascal last week.
Yeah, congratulations on that. Is awesome. Good job.
Thank you very much. And it's funny too, because I asked him about that. I asked him, when that Andrew Luck news came out, how did you find out? And he told me it was a fan that told him. There was a fan. He was sitting behind one of the benches, and he was sitting there, and he was yelling at Andrew, please tell me it's not true. Please tell me you're not retiring. And I think Zach just was like, these fans just say things. He didn't want to believe it at first. And then he talked to Jacoby, because Jacoby was the only one on the sideline that actually knew during the game up until that point. And he asked him, like, is that true? He said, yeah, Andrew Luck's retiring. So in the preseason game, Zach is standing there and he's getting told that Andrew Luck is retiring. And, that was a very sad day for us fans and for the players, I'm sure. If anyone actually wants to go back and look at the videos I posted that night on my Twitter, it's so depressing. I mean, I know what it felt like to be Norb when the Seattle Seahawks lost the Super Bowl to the Patriots that night.
Oh,
I knew
man.
I knew his feeling. I was so upset. But yeah, I choose not to talk about it now because it still hurts. It still hurts right here.
Wow, man. I'm sorry to bring up the pain, but I mean,
Okay.
we haven't won the division since 2008. So, I mean, we're hopeful this year. I think, honestly, putting everything aside, I think Titans, Colts, to me, those are the two front runners. I know the Texans shouldn't be discounted. Jaguars, I don't know what they're doing down there in Jacksonville. We'll get to them here shortly.
Rebuilding. That's it.
Before we get to some of your comments, I did want to take a few minutes to go over some Titan news. Just a few minutes. I know we do a lot of this on Sunday night, but this is what kind of came out today. So the major headline that's got a lot of us freaking out a little bit is Vic Beasley just decides not to show up to camp, supposedly. Like, usually, Derek, I think teams try to protect the players at all costs, even if they don't know what exactly is going on. They'll cover for them. They'll say, "Hey, it's a personal thing going on," or they'll be back in here soon. But man, there's no covering for Vic Beasley. They just say, you know what, he was a no-show today. So that's concerning. I do know we were trying to get Vic Beasley on the show. We reached out to his agent. We had a connection there, so we took it. We're like, might as well try. And so Vic Beasley's running around with my phone number, so that's exciting. So at any time we're going to get a call, hopefully, or maybe even in the show. Okay, it's probably not going to happen. But supposedly Vic Beasley was out of the country for a while over the summer. So he was just getting back in, but that was weeks ago. He should have been at camp. Jayon Brown and Corey Davis, they're on the PUP list. I thought Jayon Brown would have been healthy by now. Corey Davis just can't get out of his own way. I feel bad for him. I still think this is going to be his year, but he's not off to a good start. Isaiah Wilson came down with the sickness, so he supposedly or has been around the sickness. He's probably going to be out 3 weeks. Undrafted free agent Anthony McKinney, he's from TCU. He's done. He's not going to participate this year. And Vrabel was asked about Clowney about 50,000 times again. Again, guys, he's not going to tell you what's really going on behind the scenes, but he did mention Clowney is not going to be showing up in an airplane. So that is interesting because maybe he will take a different form of transportation or just show up on a completely different day, since they did ask him about today, the 28th. Maybe he shows up on the 29th. But for you, Derek, undrafted free agents, do you know any idea how that all works because they're not really... I know they sign a deal, so they're obviously making something when they sign, but how does it all, do they get the 152, the 150,000 if they decide to opt out? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't know if that is in the clauses that they had to sign their contracts with. It's quite possible that a lot of these teams decided to change up their contracts a little bit because they had to know that, if players decide to opt out, then, there had to be a clause that, you probably lose a fraction of your salary if you decide to do that. But I don't know. Honestly, I'd have to look into that. We've been talking so much about, with no preseason, what does that do for some undrafted free agents that are trying to get in? But I never really asked myself that question of, what happens to these players' salaries when they decide to just opt out. I don't see a ton of these undrafted free agents just deciding to opt out because, not a ton of them are in great situations right now as is with roster cuts and things of that nature to really be opting out because they don't really have a lot to really do at the moment. But, it's something I'll have to look into for sure.
As I was going to say, maybe I don't know his backstory. I mean, we went over him we tried to cover all the undrafted free agents here and spend some time on them. I don't know if I think he grew up in, if I'm not mistaken, in Rockford. So he's a couple hours from me. He had to go the whole, I think he ended up on one of the Netflix Last Chance U Iowa teams that actually plays Independence, Kansas, and the one before the next one that's about ready to debut here. But my point is, a lot of these guys, who's going to make the roster, who's not. But if you're long shots, you just kind of cash in. I know that's really sad of me to say that, but if they do get the 150, I mean, I have no idea how much undrafted players sign for. So that's probably part of the problem too. Maybe they obviously signed for more than that. Who knows?
Yeah.
So you talked about the Patriots. So I think they were up to 6 the last time I checked. That's a big hit. So the good news for the Patriots is they got more cap room. So now people are linking them to Clowney. But I'm telling you, I don't think Bill does anything with it. I think Bill is going to be satisfied with what he's got. And you know what? At the end of the day, they do have a really good defense. Cam Newton, maybe they can test that out, see how that's going to work out. But I don't see much urgency to go out there and just sign a bunch of free agents. Or am I oddly mistaken here?
In regards to Clowney specifically, there is not at this point in time, I don't believe anything. I don't believe anything at this point. No source can prove to me who Clowney's going to go to at this point. None. Because he's getting linked to every team. At the very beginning, it was the Seahawks, the Titans, and the Colts.
Yep.
The Titans have remained a consistent threat. Then the Jets became one. Then the Vikings and the Packers apparently are trying to bring him in. And then you now have New England. I mean, why don't we just name every team at this point and just say if they need a defensive end, which most of them do, let's just say they're going to that team. Probably the only team that doesn't need him at this point is Chicago, because Chicago's already spending so much money on their guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at this point, I don't even, for Titans fans, for Colts fans, for myself, for you, for everyone, don't believe anything until it actually happens. Because, guys, we're less than a week. I mean, training camp's about to start, and Jadeveon Clowney is still not signed.
Yeah.
You don't think he hasn't been given offers? This guy's been given plenty of offers. Cleveland was willing to sign him for almost $20 million a year.
That's a good point.
And he didn't take that. He didn't take that. So, I mean, he's showing his true incentive. I mean, he wants to play for a team that, he thinks is going to be worthy of his talents. I get that. But, dude, you got to have one or the other. You're either going to take less money but be with a great team, or you're going to take more money and be with a team that's not probably going to do much.
Yeah.
So, for that sake, but, yeah, for the Patriots, back to your original question, yeah, I mean, they're still going to be good, even without Patrick Chung and Dante Hightower. You still got Stephon Gilmore. You got some other guys there. The way they run their defense is so good. They may not be the number one defense this year, but they'll still be a top 10 defense, no question, because they got the best corner in football. And you still got one of the better defensive coordinators and one of the better minds in Bill Belichick. So they'll figure something out.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm still very hopeful. We had Ken Moore on. Ken Moore's from Houston. He has his story. He's a broadcaster for college football on the SWAC. So it's not just a random dude that's just throwing it out there. But you're right. Anything can change at any moment in time. Look what happened today with New England, for example. They went from no cap room to having tons of cap room. And teams come out of the woodwork. The Vikings came out. They're even linked now to Griffin, bringing him back. So who knows what's going to happen with all this. But if you're Clowney, why don't you just sit and wait now? I mean, what's the rush? And with people opting out, there may be a team that's desperate. What happens if some people opt out of the Chiefs? Oh, my goodness. Now the Chiefs are a threat. So maybe he's better off just to kind of lay low a little bit before he totally buys into something.
Yep, totally.
So I want to get to some of your comments. And then, Derek, obviously you can chime in too. So thank you for being here. Don't forget to tighten up that like button. That's my new saying here. We always try for 50 likes. We might have to start trying for 50 dislikes because we do have an unhappy camper out there. That
you got 10 of them in here so far, man. There's some people that really don't like me here.
Yeah. Well, hey, maybe it is you. I'm just kidding. It's me.
It might be. You know, we are on a Titans territory here. I'm in foreign territory for you guys. So
no, but you bring great information, and I think we do have a lot of Colts fans that do watch the show. So we got Jack, and we got I'm trying to think, Calvin, and then we do have a lot of Colts fans that hang out here. So
cool.
So let's get to some of these comments. Michael says, happy birthday to Mrs. Up. Yep, tomorrow is her birthday, so I am opting out, Derek. So if anybody wants any breaking news for the Titans in Truth is your guy. He's got a show tomorrow night at 6 p.m. He will be breaking down if Clowney signs tomorrow or Clowney signs Ellsper, who knows. Titans in Truth is going to be covering it. I am going to be non-existent. I will not be on social media tomorrow. I am not going to be breaking down. So if anything happens tomorrow, you know what? My wife did give me permission to go on, but come on, man.
We know the secret meaning behind that. You don't do it.
No, it's a test, and I'm not falling for it. So with that being said, like I said, I'm opting out for at least tomorrow. I'll be back Thursday at some point, and if anything happens, maybe we'll figure out a time. We'll see when Titans Weekly is going live, and then we'll try to readjust our schedule based on what they're doing. But maybe we could go live then. So thank you, Michael, for the shout out there to my wife. Tony also says happy birthday to the wife. So thank you, guys. You guys are awesome. So C-Dub says Vic Beasley's tripping. We got the actual sponsor from Bring the Juice podcast on here. Let's put him on the screen. Sorry about that, guys. Glad you could join on here. It's good.
Yeah, we were originally supposed to stream on ours, and then some people found their way over, and then we got a late message out saying that wasn't going to happen, so I was just over here, and now the people who were waiting are now filing into your stream right now. I've seen about 4 or 5 of them that normally watch our podcasts are now in your chat right now.
Awesome. If you want to shout them out at any time, let me know. We got Hugo.
We got Miles Bryan in here.
There
Miles
he is.
Bryan, my dude. Nomadic Brian is in here. The Niski Cap is in here. Glad to have him in here. I think that's all I've seen so far. Yeah, Miles Bryan, Nomadic Brian, Niski Cap, those boys, they're in here. Cody's in here. So we got a couple people in here.
And you will never, ever be in a show for the Titans and not have Al Pierce. So Al Pierce is here as well. Shout out to Al. Al is an amazing guy. And yeah. And another amazing guy, I just want to give him a shout out real quick. I don't know if he's kind of blown it up yet or not. If I was him, I would. But Mr. Titan went over 1,000 today. So congratulations to Mr. Titan. I know his hard work's been paying off. A lot of interviews he's been doing. He had the spray guy on that's supposedly going to be on the Broadway Sports this week. He had him on last week. So shout out to Mr. Titan for reaching the milestone of 1K. Just keep it going, man. Keep it going. Tony Joe says, as the time goes on, I'm getting more pessimistic about the season happening at all. What's your comments on that? Percentage-wise, Derek? Because for me, I go back and forth. I'm a teacher. I'm going back to school here in a couple weeks. Things in Illinois they're not like great, but they're nothing like Florida. But the world keeps going, and most of us can't opt out of our jobs. We gotta find a way. What's your, what do you think about the season if you had to give it a percentage happening?
First off, before I even answer that, Nomadic Brian, I will get you some ice cream for being in here. I appreciate it. But anyway, percentage-wise, I feel like it's got to be in the 80-90% category for me. Like, because people had those issues with MLB, right? They had those issues with MLB. How are you going to keep all these guys healthy when they're going back home, they're going to places, stuff like that? I mean, I know it's been only a week into the season and they're having an issue with one team, but so far outside of that, 95% of the rest of the MLB is fine. So I mean, again, like you said, life goes on, guys. I know that people don't really want to hear this because, they want to say, oh, well, we have the right to be healthy and everything. Yeah, you do. But I mean, like, you play, you do your job. There's risks. I mean, everybody has risks. I mean, you and I go out into the public every day, I'm sure, and we get exposed to people. I mean, it happens everywhere. I mean, we can't just stop everything because of something like this. I'm not going to get too political on it. I just want to just say that again, that's why you have the option to opt out. If you want to opt out, you can. If you want to play and risk your safety for, the paycheck that you're getting and to play the game that you love, then you should be allowed to do that. And I don't think that the NFL is going to let the season drop because of that. There's too much at stake for money-wise and just overall country morality at this point. If we did not have football, I mean, I would be lost. I don't know what I would do. Honestly, my life would be depressing for the next 5 months. It'd be depressing. I don't know what to do. So, I mean, I think that if I had to grade it or if I had to think that it was going to be, a percentage, I think it's pretty high that this season's going to go on as planned.
Yeah. I just don't have the confidence that it's going to finish. And maybe they can shorten it up throughout the season. I had to make the ultimate call, Derek. Last night, tough call. A lot went into it. But I had to opt out of my season tickets last night. So Luckily for us, we get to keep our PSL for next season. But it hurt. It hurt my son. Even my wife's like, oh, it's just something you don't want to think about doing. And but it stinks. It's just there's just no way around it, I don't think. And college football, I'm very scared for college football now. Like they've already canceled non-conference games, most of them. College is going to be hard to figure that out.
Yeah. Again, it's one of those things that, and people say, oh, it's wrong of these schools to ask these kids to, sign contracts that, keep them from suing the school if they decide to play this season. Like, that's not immoral. They're 18 years old. These kids are 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. They have the absolute authority to sign a contract that says, I know what I'm getting myself into and I want to play, despite the fact that, I have the risk of possibly contracting this disease. It's everyday life. I mean, I know it's different circumstances now, but yeah, like you said, the people at the epicenter of NCAA are really, really, really scared right now of what could possibly happen. I don't see why they're so scared, but I mean, they're talking about delaying the season or possibly shortening it. There's been the spring football argument that's been going on for like a month now, which I completely don't understand. But, how are you going to tell kids in the Northern Hemisphere to play in January and February when you get other teams down in the South that are playing in 60, 70 degree weather all year, and the ones up north are playing in minus temperatures. Yeah. And I mean, what difference does it make? You're still going to get in trouble regardless with it. It's not like it only appears in the summer and doesn't appear in the winter. So yeah. I don't understand it. I don't understand the drama of it all, but if this continues the way it is right now with the way people are portraying it, it's true. College football might be gone, and then you'll see colleges collapse from underneath themselves.
Oh yeah, yep.
Because there'll be no money. They're all gone. I mean, half of these universities would have to shut down every major program in their entire university because they don't get money from these athletics.
Man, did you see what Illinois is going to, real quick, with high school? It looks like they're going to decide tomorrow, I think. I know Texas has kind of already come out and I think canceled football, which is huge because Texas football in high school is just insane.
Did they really? I thought they said they were playing.
Are they playing now? Because they did come out and say they weren't going to play. So we'll have to keep an eye on that.
I saw a thing the other day that said Texas football is planning to have 50% capacity in their stadiums.
We'll check that out, because I know there was some talk about that. But Illinois is thinking about backing up fall sports and just doing them all with the spring. So now, not every high school's huge. So now kids are going to have to decide, am I playing football, baseball, tennis? Sure, the girls with volleyball and softball. It's going to be a mess. So I don't know how you do it, but I feel bad for the kids because it ended terribly for them last year, and it looks like they're going to get off to a rocky start in sports this year as well.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like it's been, I'm seeing all these articles. It's saying that there's still talks about it, but I don't think I've seen anything that says that some school districts have been canceling football, but not all of them have.
Yeah. Wade Wells says he's going 2 days a week. That's what my kids are doing as well. Micro Mike in the house. Hey, do you have an update on the White Sox game, man? I know they lost earlier, but hoping that at least some good news comes out of today, because for us Titan fans, no Clowney, but the big issue is, yes, Corey Davis, but also what in the world's going on with Vic Beasley? So William Appleby, rail production, what's going on, man? It's good to see you in the house. And he says, if your best player is sick, how do you expect to have a good team? Look at the Cowboys with Elliott, ended up getting sick. And then under those protocols, that's what I think Derek and I are afraid of. I know for the Titans, if we lost Ryan Tannehill for 3 weeks, we're in trouble. I don't know how many games we're winning without Ryan Tannehill. It'd be all Derrick Henry. And, I mean, I guess you can't go into the season thinking like that, but it's definitely concerning. So we want to break down the Jaguars. We'll fly through this because I don't know how many of you actually want to talk about the Jaguars, but they are in our division, and we did lose to the Jaguars. So there are some Titan fans. I've read some comments, some tweets, and they basically said the Jaguars have opted out of every season since 2017, but they did beat us last year. Did you sweep them last year?
Did we sweep them last year? I don't think so. I think we lost to them at their place. I actually don't think we've beat them at their place in over 5 years. It's been a long thing. In 2018, when we had Andrew Luck, we lost 6-0.
I remember that game. Yeah.
It was the most god-awful game that I've ever watched in my entire life. But yeah, I mean, we just don't beat them at their place. We don't beat them at their place. That's been an issue forever. Even when in the Peyton Manning days, we still had issues beating them in their place. They don't beat us in ours. We don't beat them in theirs. It's weird like that.
SSJ Titan X, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Good that you stopped by. It's one of those things, man. It's one of those things today with news just breaking galore. Derek just comes in and breaks down, some Charger news. Do you want to go back over that real quick?
Yeah, it was in the chat earlier, but yeah, guys, just before we started the stream here, it was reported that the Chargers just signed Joey Bosa, defensive end Joey Bosa, to a 5-year, $135 million deal with $102 million of that guaranteed. He's now the highest paid defensive player in all of the NFL. So apparently the Chargers are locking down their star-studded defensive end.
Yeah. Apparently, let's see, the Niski cap. You guys lost week 17 to the Jags. I mean, again, I don't know. Let's get into them because I don't know what they're doing. I legitimately have no idea what the Jaguars are officially going to try to do. So let's break down the Jaguars real quick. This is last year's stats. And what's concerning about the Jaguars is they did finish the year 7th in sacks. They did give us fits. And I think a lot of those sacks came in week 3 when Jameel Douglas had can you get a negative rating from Pro Football Focus? I mean, it was close. He either had a 0 or a 1. And he was just getting manhandled by Campbell. Campbell just was running him over consistently. Mariota was a sitting duck, literally. And it was a nightmare game. And we played awful. And those Thursday night games, Derek, when you got to play on the road, it doesn't matter who you play. Those games can be very, very tough. If you look at them offensively, there are issues. Red zone, 40%, 31st in the league. Third down percentage, just not as good either, 34%. They're middle of the pack, passing, rushing. Minshew did give them a lift. They did beat us. Did they beat Denver as well? I thought they came back and beat the Broncos. They played a pretty good game. I remember watching that game. It was crazy. Or maybe the Broncos won late. I'm pretty sure the Jaguars won, though. And then defense, like I said, against the rush is where this team's fallen flat. So when you look at them going forward, any stats stand out to you, Derek, that you would like to talk about with the Jaguars before we kind of move on to their draft and some key points of their season?
Yeah, it is quite shocking to me when you look at some of the defensive stats of this. They were top 10 in sacks. Wasn't there a game between you guys and the Jags when there was wasn't there 8 sacks by the Jags in that game or something?
Yeah, I think week 3.
Yeah, I was going to say there was also a game. I don't know if that was the same game, but you guys and the Jags set a new record for the most flags in one half. There was 17 or 18 flags. It was actually unbearably hard to watch. But, it is astounding to me that their rushing defense was that bad. Because Calais Campbell's one of the better defensive tackles in the league. And that was shocking to me that, their rushing defense was actually that bad. Surprised by that. But, they were dumb for giving up Calais Campbell for what they gave him up for. Really dumb decision there. And, like you said, Minshew made them a middle of the pack offensive attack. They really are middle of the pack. They're 16th. They're nothing amazing to be inspired by. Jags fans think that Gardner Minshew is the thing of the future for them. Good for you. But if your quarterback is only going to take them to middle of the pack, I would consider you may have some other searching to do. But yeah, offense is middle of the pack at best, and their defense, from what it looks like, again, is middle of the pack at best as well. They've got some really bad inconsistencies to work on.
Yeah, so that leads us to our next point then with them. I'm assuming they're rebuilding. Okay, they, Boye's gone, Campbell's gone. Why do you trade him to the same comp? If you're going to be good next year, now he's on the Ravens. That's the one team you don't want to trade him to. Seems like this happens all the time.
And for a 5th rounder, too, of all things.
Well, we traded the Broncos for Casey for a 7th rounder. So
yeah, I've been very vocal about how absolutely dumb that trade was.
Oh, my goodness. So they got C.J. Henderson out of Florida. We had Brian, he's our draft guru on here, and he loved Chason. He thought actually the Titans had it. When I first ever had Brian on, that's who he kind of mocked us picking, because at the time we weren't very good. We were going to pick middle of the road, and he thought Chason was going to be a great possibility at our pass rush, could eventually fill that role. I know a lot of the people in here love the wide receiver out of Colorado, but just by glancing at the draft, most people gave them an A. Do you think that the Jaguars did pretty good in the draft?
Yeah, just look at their top 4 guys. They drafted phenomenally well. C.J. Henderson, at who many regarded as the second best corner in the draft. That was impressive that they were able to get him at 9. I thought they were going to go defensive line in the very beginning, but C.J. Henderson made a lot of sense. Kayvon Chasen, dude, was a stud at LSU. Laviska Shenault, his only knock is his health. This is his only knock. His only knock is his health. If he stays healthy, this kid is a phenomenal wide receiver. And Devon Hamilton, being an Ohio State guy myself, I know a thing or two about Devon Hamilton. And Devon Hamilton is a very strong power rusher who definitely helps that front up in the middle. So, they definitely went with the defense through the draft, which you can tell. And they obviously went with a wide receiver as well. I thought they drafted very well for, even though they're in rebuild mode, I thought they got a lot of good young core pieces that are going to help this team in the long run.
Do you know what it is, like, why nobody wants to play for them? Why everybody wants out of that place?
I mean, I'd have to assume it's the management. I mean, that's what Yannick Ngakoue is talking about now. It's what Jalen Ramsey was complaining about before, about not getting paid. I mean, that was the best thing Jacksonville could have possibly done, was get Jalen Ramsey out of there for 2 first-rounders. That was one of the best trades they could have possibly done. Jalen Ramsey is not worth their time. He's not worth anybody's time at this point.
Hey, we want him. We want him here, and he wants to play here, Derek.
Please do, so T.Y. Hilton can destroy him again, please. But anyways, it really does feel like the environment there is just, it's just bleh. I mean, it just doesn't seem like anyone really wants to give their all for this team. I mean, you know, don't get me wrong, the fans love them. I mean, there's the fan support for Jacksonville is crazy, but I mean, just the management and the way they run things, you hear so many things about them that just portray negativity. You can tell which teams are like that. I mean, the Titans certainly aren't. You guys have a great GM. You guys have a great head coach in Mike Vrabel, a former Buckeye that I truly aspire and I really like. You guys obviously run a very sound football team. So, you know, as annoying as some of your Titans fans are, that I will actually say, because, you know, we Colts fans can say that, but I mean, you guys have a great football team, and you know, I do like what you guys do, but yeah, for Jacksonville's sake, they got some internal issues, man.
Yeah. I mean, this year is probably going to be a wash for them. I'm sure they could beat any of us at any time, you know, because in the NFL, you can beat anybody. But at the end of the day, I think next year probably going to be more, maybe they can make some noise. Who knows? Maybe it'll even be 20, a year after that. So as far as their roster, I tend to do this with all the teams here when we break them down. The roster, I gave them a 78 on offense and a 77 on defense when you rank all the guys. So what we do is we take 11 guys. They all have a score out of 100, and then you divide by 11, and there you go. And I do round up, by the way. So, I mean, they do. DJ Shark is pretty good. I actually like D.D. Westbrook. I know some people don't like him as much. Is Tyler Eifert going to be able to kind of come back to his glory days? Who knows? Their offensive line, I know that, you know, a lot of people, Norwell hasn't really lived up to the expectations. Linder seems like he's pretty good inside for their center, but on the outsides, the right and left tackle don't seem to be great. I think we're all waiting for Fournette to be that LSU runner that he was. He just seems to not have it. Like, you know what I mean? It's just something missing there. Defense, Josh Allen out of Kentucky, I thought he was a stud. We'll see what happens with him. You already mentioned Ngakoue. Is he even going to be there? Do you think he'll be there?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he'll probably.
I don't think so. I think he's gone. I think he completely wants out of there, and I don't think he's going to play until he gets traded.
Do you think they trade him in the division? Because that's come up for Titan fans.
Absolutely not.
That's what
they'd be dumb to do that.
Yeah, and the thing I think with division is they may trade him, but you're going to pay double than any other team. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So, and then on defense, they brought in, was it Schobert, the middle linebacker from the Browns, to try to at least help stop the run, apparently. But I am surprised there, too, about the run. Like, with Campbell up front, you think those guys, I mean, Miles Jack, I mean, for me personally, I know he, with the injury coming out of college, when we play him, he seems pretty quick. I mean, I don't know. And then we remember Al Woods, defensive tackle. He's going to be on the Jaguars this year. So I'm not expecting much. How many wins do you think the Jaguars get? Over, under, let's go 5.
I'm going to probably go under.
Okay.
I think that's the general consensus.
Yeah. But, you know, you never know if nobody opts out for the Jaguars and everybody's opting out of these other teams. It really is going to be an X factor this year if you really think about it. But, yeah, I'm with you. Maybe 4 and 12 is their ceiling. All right, so we move on to the Jets. The Jets, 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 Jets. I want to give a shout out to Jets Central he does awesome work, but he's also busy at this time of year because they're making some noise, making some trades. So I knew it was going to be hard to get him on, but he does great work. So shout out to him. But the New York Jets, just on the surface, Derek, can this team with the Patriots losing Brady, I think the Bills are a pretty solid football team. Dolphins seem to be getting a little bit better. I mean, how good can the Jets be this season, or are they just like the Jaguars?
It really is difficult to really dissect the Jets. On paper, they seem like a really great team. You obviously got a young quarterback in Sam Darnold, who I actually do like. I think he gets a lot of really bad hate for trying to lead a team that's just not built very well around him. Offensive line's not great. Le'Veon Bell is suffering because of it. They don't have great wide receivers. You don't have a great head coach operating that offense. And of course, I hate the fact that the defense has to go through that, because their defense overall is a very solid defense. I mean, they're really good, but the issue you have that's the issue, is that Jamal Adams brought out the reason the Jets suffer, and that's Adam Gase. Adam Gase is the issue here. You can't have your players openly coming out and saying that we don't like the leadership of Adam Gase. I'm sure Jamal Adams is not the only person that feels this way. I mean, there's multiple cases of this. And, when your head coach is not a great leader and is not taking control of this team, your team can only go so far. So I look at this team, and the Jets have a lot of great opportunities in front of them, but you have the Buffalo Bills getting better every year. The New England Patriots still have Bill Belichick. And Miami had a massive overhaul this offseason with their team. So Miami might get better. I mean, the Jets could be hung out to dry this year in that division.
Yeah, I don't know, man. You mentioned their defense, second in the league. I think they're second overall in yards per attempt rushing the football. I mean, they're stout, but you know who number one was, by the way?
Who?
The Buccaneers. So,
yeah, that makes sense. They had Gerald McCoy and a few others. That makes sense.
But the Bucs had the 32nd worst pass defense. So it's kind of you know what I mean? Some of these teams, you do one thing well, you don't do anything else well. It kind of can hurt you at some point. But total defense, I was shocked on that. Seventh total defense.
Yeah, because they're 17th in pass. They're right in the middle.
Yep.
They're right in the middle. And, if you're right in the middle in pass coverage and you're second best in rushing, you're overall a pretty decent defense. So
yeah. So just on the surface, who do you think won the trade? So again, if you're just kind of, the Jets get a first-round pick in 2021. They get a first-round pick in 2022. They get a third-round pick in 2021, and then they get Bradley McDougald. The safety from the Seahawks, who's about an average safety, right? In the 70s. That's what I had him as.
Yeah, I think most people have seen that he's pretty good. He'll fit with the Jets. He's a solid safety, basically.
Yeah. So then the Seahawks get Adams, of course, which, man, Adams didn't want to play for the Jets for the money, but apparently he's going to be okay playing with the Seattle Seahawks for the same amount of money, even though he is on his rookie contract still. And then they also get a fourth-round pick. But just based off that, keep in mind, I know you know this, Derek, but the Seahawks will probably be pretty decent, so they'll be picking in the back half of the draft, I'm assuming, over the next 2 years. You never know, but just on the surface, who do you think won the trade?
You would be dumb to say it was anybody but the Jets. At least that's my opinion. I was saying this to a bunch of people recently that, yes, they won the trade because of what they got in return. But just because they won the trade doesn't mean they won the total outcome of this. What do the Jets do with those trades? What do they do? If Seattle is as good as what we think they can be, then I mean, you're basically going to be drafting in the top part of the first round, every one of those picks. And I don't know if I trust the Jets with, with these deals. I just don't know. But I mean, Seattle did it good. They wanted to get somebody to fix the safety position, right? They wanted that next defensive piece to put them where they want to be, because they have Bobby Wagner, a really good linebacker, Jamal Adams, a top 3 safety in the league, no question. And I mean, that just helps your defense. But yeah, I mean, the Jets in this trade alone won that, because again, you got a quarterback's ransom, or one of the best defensive linemen in football's ransom for that one player. You get 2 first rounders, a third rounder, and their safety. I mean, the Jets obviously won this one.
Yeah. So we got SSJ Titan X says 2 first for a strong safety. The Seahawks got robbed. Knox says Seattle won that trade. I'm not sure what Niski Cap said. I've got the Bills. I think he said he's got the Bills getting the number 1 in the AFC, and somebody agreed with that. Durkatime says if Gase botches the draft, Jets clearly lost the trade. And that's the thing, too. I don't really trust Gase, and it makes me feel very confident that Ryan Tannehill, shout out to him, making the top 100 list, even though the coaches, I shared this yesterday, according to The Athletic, 50 coaches and the evaluators had Ryan Tannehill the 18th best quarterback in the National Football League. So
that top 100 is crap.
Yeah, it is. I don't think Kevin Byard's going to make the list, man. What do you think about Kevin Byard? Because he doesn't get a lot of respect around the league, but us Titan fans cherish him because we think he's a stud.
I mean, we actually had the last live stream that Cody and I did. We had two Titans fans that wandered into our chat, and we thought you sent them, and that was a funny laugh on our part. But yeah, we had a conversation with them. They were talking about Kevin Byard, and they were saying, Kevin Byard's statistically the best safety in football is what they were telling me. I mean, I totally agree that Kevin Byard's a very good safety. But I mean, ultimately Kevin Byard's a little bit older than what Jamal Adams was. And, Jamal Adams is just a bigger name. So ultimately there's no wonder that, Jamal Adams is going to get more recognition, probably going to get more money than a guy like Kevin Byard. But, yeah, I mean, again, I'm not going to argue with it. I think Kevin Byard's a good safety. I do. Kevin
Byard actually is one of the higher paid safeties in the league, and he never got invited to the combine. And he got drafted. J-Rob, I think that was J-Rob's first draft, if I'm not mistaken. Took him number 1 in the 3rd round. But yeah, I mean, Adams was he number 6, 7 in the draft? He went after Corey Davis a couple picks, right? I think
so.
Yeah, he's the same age as Corey Davis. I'm not sure the same age, but the same draft. A lot of Titan fans were like, "Why didn't we pick him at 5?" I don't know, because I think we needed a receiver. But yeah,
I was very, very shocked by that trade, that pickup, because Corey Davis came from Western Michigan. I was from BG. I mean, from the MAC. I understood who Corey Davis was. I mean, really good player, but I mean, that was a really shocking pick. I mean, that was really shocking.
So C-Dub said Byard did not make the top 100 list. And I think Byard kind of knew that was coming based on his tweets last night. And then Logan Ryan did. But, a lot of people forget Logan Ryan put up really good stats this year. And he had a really good year. I thought he got snubbed. He should have made the Pro Bowl. But, again, stat-wise, how many people threw at Deion Sanders? They respected him enough. They didn't want to throw at him. And a lot of times, when you're playing the Titans, where Kevin Byard is on the field. So you go the other way. That's why Vaccaro gets a lot of the action. And Vaccaro, give him credit. He stepped up, and he's played really, really well in that defense. But yeah, this is the Jets. I got them 74 offense, 79 defense. I think their defense can be, like you mentioned, they can be pretty good. Obviously 7th in the league. If they could figure out the pass, their big issue is offensive line. I don't know. A lot of the stuff I've dug up on the Jets over the last couple days, they think the Jets have basically kind of settled at that offensive line. I not sure they
I don't
did
see
yet. Yeah, I think they're going to still struggle there.
Oh yeah, I mean, because they made the right call in going after Mekhi Becton. That was a good move to invest in your offensive line early. I mean, the Colts are a prime example of this, of drafting your offensive line and drafting early. I mean, we got Quentin Nelson and Braden Smith in the same draft, and Quentin Nelson's the best guard in football, maybe one of the best offensive linemen in football in general. And Braden Smith is a rock solid right tackle. And Ryan Kelly, we got 2 drafts earlier, one of the top 3 centers in the league, in my opinion. So, I mean, that offensive line needs to get better, because Sam Darnold was having issues last year. And yes, it was his receivers and everything else, but everyone knows if you're going to perform well on offense, you have to improve the offensive line.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we did in Tennessee. We focused in on the offensive line, focused in on running the ball, and then let everything else happen afterwards. And Malarkey, I give him tons of credit. I know they wanted him out. I mean, could you imagine, Derek, being a coach, taking a 2-win team a couple years later, I think it might have been a year and a half, and you take them to the playoffs, okay? I know we were 9-7, but we still made the playoffs. And you're going into your first playoff game since I don't even know when. Was it 2009, the 2008 season, but 2009. And there's talks that you're getting fired after the game. And then you win, and there's still talks about, I mean, it was a mess, but it looks like J-Rob on the surface did get it right. I just hope we respect Mike Malarkey more, just for the fact of what he did to the team. I guess that's my point. But
right.
All right. So a couple of questions before we get out of here. We covered the Jets. We've covered the Jaguars. How many wins do you think the Jets are going to get this season?
Probably around, probably my dead solid prediction probably be 6. That's probably where I would stick at, because, they added some wide receivers this year. I'll give them credit for that. But, again, it's nothing crazy, no crazy name out there. And, their defense is still solid, but I mean, they still didn't get any immediate pieces for that defense in replacement of Jamal Adams. So that defense is going to struggle worse this year than what it was last year, in my opinion. And then, I mean, their offense might improve slightly, but I mean, I don't anticipate this team taking a leap.
Yeah, it could be anywhere between 5 and 7. I think the defense is good. Mosley, He got hurt last year. Avery Williamson makes perfect sense of why they're good against the rush and not the pass. He really had a difficult time in the passing game, but he was an awesome run defender. So, I mean, when we let him go, that's pretty much, I think, what it came down to. He was not very good out of the backfield. And when we played New England in the playoff game with him, he really got exploited. I mean, when Dion Lewis is exploiting you, I mean, that's a problem. Nomadic Brian says, who is Pierre? So Pierre Desir.
Yeah, he was the Colts cornerback last year.
Nice.
Yeah.
What do you think of him?
They steal our defensive players all the time. He's a solid corner, We got Xavier Rhodes in replacement of him this year. Pierre is just basically a solid corner. We've seen the height of him, at least as of right now, and injuries have been a concern for him. Last season, he missed 5 or 6 games due to injury. So it's one of those things he's dealt with, but still a young player that, can perform. Let me just look down this starting defense here, because I see 1, 2, 3 players on their defense that were former Colts.
And they're cornerbacks, right?
Henry Anderson, and then Terrell Basham, who, if you looked at our podcast, we did a video of Chris Ballard's top 10 worst draft picks that he ever made. Terrell Basham was number 2. And then Pierre Desir isn't the other one. So they actually have, 7 or 8 of our players. A bunch of them are on the bench or are depth pieces. I mean, it's really funny to think about. They steal one of our guys every year.
One of these that we were breaking down, they had 2 corners. Melvin, didn't he used to play for you guys?
Rashawn. Are you talking about Rashawn Melvin?
Maybe one of them's from Illinois, and then wasn't one Hayden? Didn't Hayden play for you guys? Or am I thinking of like guys that used to play but?
Yeah, I don't remember a Hayden.
Kelvin Hayden, is that too old?
Might be too old. I don't remember Kelvin Hayden.
I can't find I had my roster on me and I unfortunately can't find it. Here we go. Jacksonville. Maybe it was Jacksonville. Rashawn Melvin. He's not.
Yeah, Rashawn Melvin. He was a corner for us for a year or two, and then we traded him off to. I think we traded him off to. I don't remember who at first, but isn't he in Oakland now?
He's in maybe he got traded. Then DJ.
I think he went to Raiders, but he might have moved again. I don't know.
And then DJ Hayden. I must be thinking of the different Hayden that used to play for the Colts back in the day.
Must be.
Because DJ, did he play for the Raiders?
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, I don't know. But those guys, pretty solid numbers, ranking-wise, but I don't know why they're not in the starting position. Maybe they're just not. Maybe they're more positional players in the secondary, but who knows? So, but yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. We'll take some questions before we get Derek out of here, and thanks for being on the show, Derek. I mean, obviously you have a lot of knowledge. We'll be seeing you a lot this year. Let's just hope we will because of football. We just hope there's going to be football like you guys have mentioned in the house here. As of right now, I'm still kind of skeptical of it, but don't forget, gotta wear your mask. You got to wear your mask.
Yeah, I know. It's unfortunate now because now everywhere you go, it's mandated. So you really don't have much of a choice.
Well, I went to get gas today, and I'm not going to say the name of the company. They never refill their receipts. So I had to go into the store to get my receipt. It's just, it's a pet peeve of mine. But anyways, nobody wearing mask. Nobody in my community wearing mask there. Very, very disappointed. Told my wife I will never go back to that gas station. I will go somewhere else. But yeah, it is interesting. Some people, they think it's a big deal. Other people don't. And that may be why there's so much of an issue right now with it kind of pocketing it up in different locations throughout the United States. But who knows? Hopefully they'll all get on the same page so we can have sports. We need sports.
I know we need sports. Regardless if this thing leaves or not, we need to have sports.
So we had Jack. Jack was in here at some point. I saw him. Yeah. And now we got Calvin in the house. Calvin's another Colts fan that's always here. He said Calvin Hayden was on the Super Bowl team. So, hey, I think he was from Illinois. Illinois. That's why I remember him. So, I don't know. Let's see. We got James in the house. What's going on, James? Good to have you. He said Kelvin Hayden was a Colts back in the Manning days. My bad, guys. My bad. I just see the last name and I go.
That was a while back, man. They were testing my knowledge of players back then.
Thanks, Michael. I appreciate you being here. You were here early too, man. So, and thanks again for the shout out to my wife for her birthday coming up. Solomon in the house. What's going on, Solomon? Again, if you're kind of just 501 in the house, if you're just joining us, Durka time. Music City guy, Titans, the big news for us is where's Beasley at? Again, I know he was out of the country a couple weeks ago or maybe a month ago. He should be back by now, but he just didn't show up and there was no alibi. There was no even the Titans didn't come out and try to save him. They just said he just flat out didn't show up. So that's scary.
Seeing this comment here from the Backyard Dogs asking me a question. Derek, I'm in Indy quite a bit. Why are Colts fans so nasty to us Titans fans? I mean, I could be friends with a Titan fan, okay? I can't be friends with a delusional Titans fan, okay? Every fan base has those. There's a lot of Colts fans that are very delusional that I don't like, okay? There's those in every one, but I think it is just the simple fact that over the last 20 years, you guys have had very little success of beating Indianapolis. And, a lot of fans think we're on the moral high ground, I guess, when it comes to that. I guess Colts fans just like to remind you guys. But, I think it's funny because it used to be the Colts and the Texans that used to rival each other because, between in the early 2000s, that was who was sharing the division. It was the Texans and the Colts all the time. But now it's become the Titans being better than the Texans and the Colts still being the front runner most times. So, it's just become more of that rivalry kind of vibe, man. It's just all how it is, I guess.
Yeah, I think you guys are bitter because let's just go all the way back to 1999. I mean, you're 13-3. Manning is starting to be Manning. I think that was the second season. Titans come in. We were also 13-3, but we didn't win our division because we played Jacksonville, and Jacksonville finished the year, I want to say, 15-3, and all three losses, Derek, were to the Titans. How cool is that? But yeah, we went into Indy and you got to experience the Eddie George effect. I mean, I think that's kind of where it started. And then you're right. You've had our number, and they're always odd, weird games too. Like, yes, sometimes you'll blow us out. But I remember being at the Marcus Mariota game where he threw Lewan a touchdown. We were up 7-0 or whatever, and things looked real good, and then you guys came storming back. We couldn't stop Luck. Mariota gets the ball back, gets sacked, fumbles, Colts return for a touchdown, game over. It's just, you know what I mean? And but it's all in good fun. So we do appreciate you hanging out and being here. I did want to throw up your graphic on the screen, so if you like what you heard and you are a Colts fan and you haven't, I'm sure you've heard of Bring the Juice, but just in case if you haven't, there's their website on Fan to Fan Network. And Derek and Cody do some great work on there. There's a picture of them. I know it's kind of hard to see there, but definitely go hit that up and subscribe to them and keep it going. You guys are doing real well on Twitter, other social media platforms. I see YouTube numbers growing. So you're almost to 3K now. It's getting there, isn't it?
Yeah, we're almost at 2,300 right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're getting close. 3,000's the next goal. We're hoping we can hit that by the end of the year. We're hoping that as long as there's a football season, that we might actually be able to grow our numbers a lot more because, once football starts coming up, I think people will start, watching our stuff a lot more. So.
Yeah, and I think you guys will probably get that during the football season. I know a lot of guys that have been here. I wanted to get to a few of your comments before we head off the year too, but I know a lot of guys that just are like, tighten upload. I'm sorry I haven't been around. I'm not doing that right now. I'm waiting to the season, and it's all good. Yeah. We understand. We just try to give you guys content to chew on for a little bit, talk about, discuss. I mean, we're going to get into the NFL 100 list. I'm going to give you a list of who I think deserves to be on there. Maybe you guys could do a show at some point, give me your honest opinion of the Titans or just the division or whatever. Come up with our own 100 list. That'd be cool if our fan-to-fan network could do that, or something.
Yeah,
cool
that would be interesting. We might have to tell Joe that one in the meeting Thursday. I know before I hopped into the stream with you, Cody and I did our most recent video on who we project is going to be on the 53-man roster. So we were doing that. So that's another thing.
Dylan says, no need for a mask. Love you, tighten up, but I don't wear a mask for sports. Okay, Dylan, man. That's your opinion. That's your opinion. Just remember the older people, though, or the people that, maybe can't fight it off as easy. Dylan also wants to know about the Vrabel press conference. Again, Derek, I don't think coaches are going to tell you exactly what's going on behind the scenes. So when they consistently ask you about Clowney, there's really only so much Vrabel.
Yeah, you think he's really going to say anything about it? No way. He can't say anything about that. All he can really say is, we'd hope to get him. I mean, that's all you can say about it. You think they're going to say anything about it? Absolutely not.
Let's see. Clayton says, check the timelines. What's the timelines? Is there some breaking news? Possibly.
I haven't seen anything. Okay. I haven't seen anything pop up. Dude, I actually have some news that I wanted to tell you that was really cool. I've been keeping you guys updated on the Facebook page. I don't know if you check the Facebook page for FTFN posts. I don't know if you see that at all.
Yeah, every so often I'm on there, yeah.
I keep you guys updated with stuff that we've been doing a lot with like the interviews and stuff. I have something really cool tomorrow that is like a once in a lifetime opportunity, I think, for a lot of people. We were going to go to training camp, and I don't want to get too much into it because it's not like, something that's crazy, but we're supposed to go to training camp because we had our name listed down as part of the media, but we couldn't do that obviously because, we're not going to say that word on here because of YouTube, but we had that happen and we couldn't do it. But the Colts PR guy gave our podcast permission to attend virtual press conferences that Ballard and Frank Reich are going to be doing tomorrow. And I'm going to be able to go into the press conferences with the media to possibly ask him questions.
That is awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, tell me about it. I'm super excited for it tomorrow. I'm still thinking of some other questions to ask these guys, but it's one of those things that I was stunned when I saw that the Colts PR guy was going to give us a shot at this. I mean, he knows. I mean, he knows Cody because Cody's been contacting him for the last 2 years because Cody went down to training camp last year and asked about being in part of the media, and he did that a little bit. So he was able to go down there, I think, a year ago, and he got some interviews with some players and stuff like that. So he's always been talking to that guy about wanting to do more. And obviously with talking to him so much and with our following growing the way it has, they said that they're going to allow us to be part of that. I was like, are you kidding me?
That is awesome, though.
That is amazing.
The Titans, it's a little bit more difficult. You've got two players on. The Titans are kind of really, I mean, I've been trying. I got an undrafted free agent, Mason Kinsey, on. Just want to thank him again for coming on. But really, I mean, I tried. I really did. I had, like I mentioned earlier, I got a hold of the connection to Clowney. I wish I did. To Beasley's agent. So like Beasley's running around, like I said, with my number. Maybe he's already deleted it or threw it away, whatever the case is. But that would be a dream of mine to be able to be invited to the Titans media. But they got such a tight group there, and I don't think I have any kind of connection. So maybe with persistence and keep trying, maybe we can figure it out.
I mean, honestly, it's just more of just keep emailing about that. I mean, obviously this year might be a little difficult due to the fact that, we have this going on. But I mean, yeah, next year if things start cooling down and, they start allowing media, just start just email their PR guys and ask if you can get a media badge. Yeah. Ask them if you can do that. Cause I mean, they'll allow certain people. And if, you tell them, hey, I'm with the Titan Upload podcast, I have this, and, I just wanted to see if I could be able to get part of the media, just kind of, be there for training camp. I'm sure that they'd be willing to give you something that would let you have certain access to some players. So especially with your following, I mean, they let Cody do it, and we weren't even at 1,000 subscribers at that point. So
yeah, I don't know. Paul Kaharski would probably come after me. I don't know.
I don't know your beef with anybody or whatever's going on, but I mean, I'm just saying from a Colts fan perspective here. But
yeah, no, that's good information. So apparently Derrick Henry made the top 10 list in the 100. So that went, where did I see that? I put it on the screen. Yeah, Randall said that. So that's exciting. So we don't know where he fits in the top 10. He's just in the top 10. I heard there were 3 Titans that made the list, but if it's Ryan Tannehill made the list and Derrick Henry, who's the third one then? Because you guys are saying it wasn't Kern.
Would it be Taylor Lewan?
I don't think Lewan made the list. Remember, he missed the first 4 games because of, and even when he came back.
It's funny. Your guy, Al Pierce, had a comment here that said, how do you think Joey Bosa's $135 million will affect Clowney? It's not going to affect Clowney at all. I mean, Joey Bosa is 25 and Clowney is a lot older. I wouldn't say a lot older. He's a few years older. And, Clowney's not getting a long-term deal from somebody. He's not.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a 1-year deal. I still think he's got the Titans in his back pocket, but he's just doing what most of us would do if we're not definitely sold on something, just trying to get the best that he can get at this point.
Yeah.
501 says the disrespect buyer. Yeah, we could do a whole show on that 501. I mean, it's unfortunate. This guy made All-Pro a couple years ago, and he can't even crack the top 100 list.
The absolute travesty of Darius Leonard's ranking. How in the world is there 49 people better than Darius Leonard?
I'd agree with that, man.
And not to mention last season, he was 26th. And he's 50. So this year they dropped him 24 spots.
Yeah.
They're waking up the beast. I mean, Darius Leonard is about to just go ham on y'all this year. Not necessarily saying you Titans, but like the whole NFL, y'all done messed up.
Yeah.
Y'all messed up. You're just feeding this guy's ego right now.
That's not us, man. We know he's good. I mean,
I know you guys know he's good. You play him twice a year. I would imagine you probably do know a lot more than a lot of other people do.
I'm shocked that like Madden gives him like an 83 ranking or whatever it was. I mean, that guy.
Yeah, I think it was like an 85 or something. He was an 85 last year.
Okay.
Too. So he didn't move up at all.
Yeah, he's very like he's not like Ray Lewis, but like Ray Lewis is like gonna be, obviously he's a Hall of Famer. But he's
here. Hold on, I got a graphic I can show you. Hold on a second.
Sure.
I gotta find it. Hold on a second. Where is it? Right here. Okay. So I saw this graphic, and this is amazing to me. So the first 2 seasons in the NFL, okay, it broke down Darius Leonard's stats versus Brian Urlacher's and Ray Lewis's first 2 seasons in the NFL. You cool with me sharing this?
Sure, go for it.
So Leonard's played in 28 games. Ray Lewis has played in 30 in his first 2 seasons. Brian Urlacher played 32. Darius Leonard has 284 combined tackles. Ray Lewis had 294. And Brian Urlacher had 242 combined tackles. So Darius Leonard destroys Brian Urlacher in tackles, and Ray Lewis beats him by a little bit. Sack numbers, Darius Leonard has 12. Ray Lewis had 6.5. And Brian Urlacher had 14. Okay, so he destroyed Ray Lewis in sacks. Now this is where it gets crazy. I mean, this is mind-boggling. He has the same amount of interceptions in his first 2 years as these 2 guys do combined. Ray Lewis had 2 in his first 2 seasons. Brian Urlacher had 5. Darius Leonard had 7.
Wow.
And forced fumbles, he has double these 2 guys combined. Ray Lewis had 1, Brian Urlacher had 2, and Darius Leonard has 6. This guy is a turnover machine, and his tackle numbers are right up there with Ray Lewis and Brian Urlacher. Now, he's got a long way to go. I mean, yeah. he's got a 10-year career ahead of him to keep up with guys with names like this. But if those stats keep going like this, he's going to be a better linebacker than those 2 ever were. I mean,
that's what it sounds like.
Let's call it right now. I mean, because the tackle numbers are there, and he forces more turnovers than these guys, and it's not even close.
Yeah, and these guys had big mammoths in front of them as well, eating up blocks. Maybe Buckner's going to help, I'm assuming.
Oh, Buckner might make him get 200 tackles this year. Who knows?
I mean, the defensive line is super important to linebackers, and I can't think of – you guys have always had a steady dose of guys, but not like – your ends have been good, don't get me wrong. But, I mean, your guys up front, your D tackles, I mean, we'll see.
They've been terrible. Over the last 20 years, I can't name you one that's been consistently good. I mean, I can name you a bunch of defensive ends that have played really well for the Colts over the last 20 years, but not defensive tackles, though.
So, real quick, I know I've been saying this for the last 30 minutes. Derek said any word on T.Y.'s injury recovery, because, yes, I would be very, very – he lights us up. Let's just say that. So, yes. How's he doing? Do you know?
I mean, I haven't heard much about T.Y. I think T.Y.'s been fine. I mean, a lot of people question about T.Y. and his durability. Well, here's the issue. This last season was the first time that T.Y. Hilton has missed more than 2 games in his entire career. I mean, he's never been injury prone. So I don't understand why they think he's all of a sudden injury prone. He just had a bum ankle for this whole last year. I mean, it sucks, but, he only played 8 games, but still got over 500 yards and 5 touchdowns in half a season. I mean, this guy's still good, and I've not heard any injury problems with T.Y. Hilton. I would imagine he didn't have to have surgery over the offseason. So I'd imagine he's 100% ready to go.
Yeah. So who do you got? The Tennessee Titans and the Colts. They're going to play twice, we hope. You got them splitting? Yep. I thought you guys had them splitting when you had weekly on.
Yeah, I think we did. I don't remember which one I had us. I think I had us winning at your place and losing at ours. I don't know why I have that, but I think it had something to do with the placement of the week of it. But yeah, I do think that you guys will beat us once, and I think we'll beat you once.
Yeah. See you, Miles. Hey, thanks for joining us as well. Thanks for being here. And obviously he's one of the Juice followers, correct?
Yep. He's in every stream. Dude's a loyal guy to our stream. He's awesome, man.
King Isaac says, how's Andrew Luck's retirement feel a year later? You guys over it?
We already discussed this. Stop bringing it up. It doesn't feel good at all. This was our time. We were supposed to be going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, you could. You got Rivers now. You got Rivers.
Rivers is not Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck coming into last season was the 3rd best quarterback. You could have made the argument he was the 2nd best quarterback in the NFL besides Patrick Mahomes. I mean, seriously, I wouldn't even put Russell Wilson over Andrew Luck with what Andrew Luck was able to do with virtually nothing his entire career. I mean, Andrew Luck was a generational guy. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Phillip Rivers can absolutely do good. I mean, people forget in 2018, Phillip Rivers was a top 10 quarterback easy. I mean, his stats were great. But, I mean, people want to just say, oh, well, 2019 he was garbage, so that means he has to be garbage in 2020. But, I mean, Andrew Luck a year later after, it's not even been a year yet. That's what's sad. And it doesn't feel any better. I've just learned to block it out of my mind a lot of times, but then, people bring it up, and then it's just saddening.
Yeah, I'm sorry again, man. At least he didn't go to New England.
Yeah,
I heard that conspiracy.
And people kept saying, oh, what if Andrew Luck decides to come back? First off, the Colts still have his rights from the team. He still is under a contract, even though he's not playing. So he technically can't go to New England unless we traded him there.
Yeah.
And we were dang sure not going to do that.
No. So,
no way.
Again, Derek, you guys can find him, Bring the Juice podcast. Just found out they are having media passes now to the press conferences. So I'm definitely jealous. We're going to have to step up our game over here. So, hey, thanks again, man. And you're always welcome here. And it's going to be, if we do get to play Titans Colts, I think the division comes down to us. So it should be a lot of fun this year.
Absolutely, man. And when we get to games and, we're going to have to talk Titans versus Colts, I'm bringing you on, man. We're going to bring you on, and we're going to have fun with it.
It's going to be a blast. So thanks, guys. I will not be here. Remember, I'm opting out tomorrow. It's my wife's birthday. I'm officially taking the day off. No social media, no post for me tomorrow. I'll be back on Thursday. So if any breaking news happens from the Titans in Truth will have you covered at 6 o'clock tomorrow night. So until then, yes, we will break down Kevin Byard. We will break down that top 100 list. We'll continue to keep you updated on Clowney Watch, but not tomorrow. So take care, Derek. Take care, Colt Nation. Take care, Titan Nation. Don't forget to tighten up that like button before you head out of here, and tighten up. See you guys soon. Take care.